screen is visible and I can now, okay, quickly jump into our activities notebook, which we have done till now. So I will quickly revise whatever we have done in past 3 days. So we have walked through what is Fabric, how it is differing from Azure, and we have checked briefly about what is data engineering, and in Azure how the data engineering works, and in Fabric how the data engineering works. We have checked that, and key differences between Azure and Fabric. Yeah, we have also checked that. And in terms of terminologies in Fabric, we have gone through the basic terminologies. I hope you remember that. And regarding licensing, we have gone through each licensing type and what's the difference and what is the current licensing type we use. It's trial capacity. So that has also been gone through. And in yesterday's session, we have talked about warehouse versus lakehouse. So what is the key difference between warehouse and when to use warehouse and lakehouse in Fabric? And finally, we have created a simple warehouse and lakehouse yesterday. And today we are going to check how we can load data into that warehouse and lakehouse, and how we can do our simple transformation to provide you an overview about warehouse and lakehouse before getting into our real-time project or deeper technical session on warehouse and lakehouse queries. It will be a pitching session where you will get to know what are the features available in warehouse, lakehouse, and how we can load the data into them and how we can query them initially. So with no delay, we can just quickly go to our workspace. So workspace is nothing but it is an dedicated space allocated to us in the premium capacity, trial capacity, where we can have our workloads. So I have created one folder, as you know, yesterday, warehouse versus lakehouse. Inside that, we have two of our workloads which we have created yesterday, the warehouse and the lakehouse. So firstly, I will start with the warehouse. And if you remember yesterday, the ingestion of data could be done through various methods. I have told it can be through the get data option in the top, or directly through load data in the UI here. Uh, um, Directly we can import the Excel or CSV and have the tables here. And finally, the third way would be using the query, SQL query, which means you can select the data from another database, and another warehouse. Through this insert statement, you can insert into this warehouse. So that's the third way, using the SQL query. But let us start with the initial one here. It's some system queries. Okay, so what we can do is, so I have opened the warehouse initially. Now I want to get data into this warehouse. So there will be an UI in the top, get data, and you can choose between data flow gen 2 or data factory, Fabric data factory pipeline. So between those, you can choose any of this based upon your source. And if you want to do transformation, and if you are familiar with the transformation in Power Query window, things like that, then you can go with this data flow gen 2. And if not, if you want a conventional ETL tool in cloud, then you can go with Fabric data factory. I can name it as pipeline load warehouse. I will just simply click create. So it will take us to this window here. So where you will see the versatile source which is now available in the data factory. So you can connect to any of the source. You can connect to One Lake Data Hub, which means if you already have an One Lake and data inside it, you can connect to it, or you can connect to Azure, if any of your Azure connection. But since we don't have this connection with the email I have, you cannot able to see. But this is a new launch from Fabric team, so that we can attract users to migrate from Azure to Fabric. So, because when you have this email already logged in here with Fabric, and when you click Azure, it will inherit this email and check the Azure account, and whatever subscription you have access, whatever resource group you have access, it will show you here, and it will show you in a hierarchical way. So, subscription, resource group, and resources inside your subscription. So it could be an Azure SQL DB or container or whatever it is. To make it easier for migration, they have added this. So you don't want to mention your subscription name, resource group name individually. It will inherit from your email itself. So that is this Azure feature. And in addition, you can click through new and you can see what are the sources available here. You can also have this SFTP and FTP. You can, if you in your projects you have this file as a source, and if you are placing those file in a FTP or SFTP, then you can make that as a source and also can fetch the files here in the Fabric Data Factory. So still some of the connectors team is working on, and they've been rolling out more frequently different connectors. But for now, we can just go with the sample data which we have, and they also have this sample data already been provided here. So we can just click any one of the sample data, COVID-19 data lake, something like that, and here you will have different tables, and you can simply select any one of the table and click next. Okay. So we do not have any existing table, so we need to create a new table. So this is how it will. You can name whatever schema name you can. So if we want to staging layer, we can mention SCA. Yes, would be fine. Staging, and then in the bottom you can see the mapping. So these are the data types currently available in Fabric. So I can, I mean, there is certain limitation with the data type in Fabric and also in the warehouse that I can, I, I mean, explain you what are the limitation we have in the data type wise. So that is one of the constraints which organizations are taking into consideration while migrating it to Fabric, because there are certain data types which currently unavailable in Fabric, which they have in their current Azure solution. So this is one of the constraints which organizations facing currently towards migration. But let it be as it is for now. Okay, we can change this ID column. Okay, we don't know how the ID is numerical or something like that. Okay, we can go to next. This is copy one of the thing. Okay, to warehouse. Okay, table name is okay. So this pipeline copy activity has been uh, saved and it will start running. In the bottom, you can see your execution plan and execution status. So currently the status is in progress. So currently it is transferring. The queuing is completed and it is transferring.
Good morning, Akhil. Sorry, I joined late.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we are copying the data, is it?
Yes, correct. We are copying a data using a pipeline from a sample data set provided by Fabric to our warehouse. Okay, it is succeeded, and you can see the execution time and things like that. And also, you can have this all this metadata stored in your log table. So that would be helpful for your bigger project, enterprise project. So where you need to store your logs, and these all data would be available through API, and we can use that API code and capture these information and store them in our log table. But for now, it's a simple data factory. I don't want to deep dive into data factory part because that is coming in the next sessions. So I am using this data factory because to load a data into warehouse. Okay, just you can see simply see the UI of the data factory. Sorry, data flow. If I have mentioned, sorry, if it is a data factory, and you can schedule your data factory. You can have a trigger. You can have other activities, lookup, things like that is here. For now, we have successfully moved a sample data from Fabric sample repository into our warehouse. We can just go into our warehouse. So I want to refresh this. Okay, it is already available. So you can see here a new schema is created, ST staging, and within that you will have tables, views, functions, and stored procedures. And we have the newly created table, and you can see the columns as it is here. And you can just create a new SQL query. So it will provide you the results as it is here. And also, what you can do, just a moment. We have options to save it as view here. So whatever we do in a SQL, right? So they have provided it in a buttons click. So we need to create a view over there. Here you can run this select statement and you can just save it as a view. It will save as a view for the next time. So these customizations they have done, and so they have also added analyze in Excel feature. So whatever the end user could do with this data or the data analyst could do, so they have provided us an option here. Okay. What else you can do? You can do the transformation with your normal SQL language. You can use group by, order by, or merge. Merge statement is currently not available for a stored procedure because merge statement is one of the key statement which is used in the store procedure to move the data from one layer to another layer. Okay, correct me if I am wrong. So in your enterprise project, you will use the merge statement if you have a staging layer, and if you want to compare either to insert and update into your next layer of table, you will use the merge statement, which is not currently available. I don't know why it is. Maybe for the performance constraint they have not provided or not sure, but that is not available here. But rather the insert statement and the other statement will be as it is available. And the next thing you can see is this query window. You can have your queries already saved here, so you don't need to save it manually in your local or things like that. It will automatically get saved here. So next time when you been using this, you can just come here and you can just run your query. Okay, any questions till now? You can see here.
Akhil, one quick question. Now you are in warehouse and you clicked on
Yeah,
the get data
yeah,
and you selected the data factory
yeah.
pipeline, right?
Pipeline.
So
Yeah.
you don't need to provide any destination because you're already in warehouse.
No. Yeah, correct. So the mapping of the warehouse name, things like that, we don't need to provide. We just need to mention what table it is, whether the table is already exist or we need to create a new table.
Okay, if I have an existing data factory pipeline, can I link that here in directly warehouse instead of creating new pipeline?
Yeah, yeah, you can do that. I can explain you what you are asking. So move it directly to a data factory, okay, from a Power BI UI, and you have a workspace, okay.
Okay,
Here, what you are trying to do, you will create a new pipeline, not from the warehouse, from here, okay. New
okay.
pipeline, test pipeline. We can mention it as a test pipeline,
Hmm.
and we can create. And here you will be supposed to configure both source and the destination.
Understood. Okay, got it.
Yeah, yeah. So here, I
So
can
it
show you
just
quickly
will
here.
automatically once you set the target, it will automatically pop up in the
Yeah.
warehouse.
So
Okay,
source, it could be sample data. Similarly, you will have here sample data you can select, and in the target, okay, and then in the destination, you need to select it. So it will show
yeah,
you here
okay,
where also. Yeah, and then
got it.
similarly as it is, everything flows.
Understood. Yeah, thank you.
We can even use dynamic parameters as well, just to
Yes.
make it more generic. Runtime we can
Ye-
add.
Yeah, yeah. So the problem is, as rightly mentioned, we cannot use more number of activities in this data factory. Okay,
Hmm.
that is one
What
of
do
the
you mean?
yeah. What we suggest is, we need to define a table. I mean, the table should have the source table and the destination table, everything. Okay, details of metadata, everything should be there, and we can have one single copy activity, and we will in the iteration we will look into that
Got it.
table, and we will dynamically map the source and the target. And there is there will be a question raised in your mind, that how this mapping happens, what if some column misses, things like that. But this will work only for the static mapping tables. Okay, the mapping should be static as it is. The data type should be mapped as it is. So it will dynamically iterate through each row, the source and target, and it will map with a single copy activity, and it will load the data.
But don't we have to use for each activity to loop over?
Yes,
Or
yes,
does it
for
have?
each
Does it have
yeah, yeah, yeah. So for each activity only will be used, and that for each will iterate through each row, and it will make use of. But at the end, one copy activity will be used, not several copy activity to source and target. And
yeah.
in future, if you want to add a new mapping, you can just simply add a row in that table. This single
Okay.
activity can dynamically pick that. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you say for each, there will be inside there a looping variable. So how do we how do we help this looping variable access those tables which we are doing, which we are adding in the mapping? Where is it a file or where are we adding these mappings? Okay.
Yes. It In this case, it should be an either a warehouse table, or it should be an
Hmm.
file placed
So
in a
those
lake
options
house.
are
Yeah,
in the source and business. Okay.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I'm not aware. Maybe I have to explore.
yeah. Okay. Just I'm showing you how warehouse works, and it's pitching session. Since we have a lot more sessions to go, you just need to use to what warehouse can do, how we can get the data into warehouse. Slowly we can develop this. So next time when I say warehouse, the things will come into your mind. Okay, this is warehouse. This is how we write query. Query will be already saved. We can get data through pipeline, And when we go to the bigger projects, this will remember in your mind. Yeah.
Yeah, and Akhil, out of experience, usually you and I, everybody knows that when we write those queries, usually the syntax remains the same. Like there will be a standard format, like you will have
Yeah.
select, you will have from, and you will
Yeah.
have group by, order
Yeah.
by, etc.
Order by. Yeah.
But yeah, so mostly what happens is the table columns which we are selecting would vary. Sometimes the
Yes.
table source would vary. Sometimes
Yeah.
when we do group by, those group by columns will vary,
Columns.
order by columns. Yeah. So can we make those areas as variables, and can we pass the dynamic parameters into our select queries so that our select query will become more generic and just it will run based on the parameters? This concept
Yeah.
was used in DBT, data build tool, wherein they
Okay.
change the columns in the tables dynamically, whereas the skeleton query will remain the same. Thereby, developers were not required to touch the actual production SQL code. They'll just pass the parameters and it will do the same, transformations.
Okay.
You
Okay.
tried,
That
right?
is no, I have not tried. This is new for me. Okay. A new
I
thing
mean,
learned
is there
today.
a way of Jinja templating? Usually they put curly braces and they add a variable, and they'll pass that variable data through the notebook or through the endpoint
Mm,
somewhere.
mm.
Just like
Okay.
in PowerShell, we have parameters, right? We pass through the
Yes.
command line.
Correct.
Similar to that, is there a way? I was just trying to replicate same skeleton on multiple projects. Just by changing the
Uh,
contextual
uh,
tables, the columns there. That way, it will
got
reduce
it.
our
Got it.
development effort and it will become more low code.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. So the standard functions you have in SQL will be parameterized. Also, you can pass through the column names and you can make it use in different projects. You don't need to
Ah,
individually write again and again.
correct. Yes. We'll just export the ARM template and we'll just change the table sources, group by columns, etc. Whatever the business requires.
Okay, okay, but I have not tried it. But I will try it and let you know whether it is possible or not. But it is new for me.
In
New thing learned today.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
Spark notebooks, it is possible. We can use some
Mm.
Spark, DBFS utils. Usually we use in Databricks, but Spark
Okay,
MS utils is there already in Synapse. That is possible in distributed computing, but I'm not sure how do we do that in T-SQL. Can we do it or not? I don't know. Just
okay,
thinking,
okay.
or maybe we can add this as a input to Microsoft so that they can add a feature later on that will help reduce. It will improve productivity for everybody, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, just uh, showing you the additional features here in the warehouse. You will have this like Power BI. You will have this data pan and the query pan, which we are seeing, and finally the relationship pan. If you have multiple tables being imported, so you can see the relationships using primary key and foreign key you have built here. So this interface also available in the warehouse. So this mainly will be useful for bigger projects. Um, uh, in 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 line with the question yesterday been asked, when we use warehouse and why we use, and I think you have rightly said the star schema and snowflake schema is mainly being used in the warehouse, and through this we can make sure that everything is fine in our projects. The relationships are built correctly with the ID columns. Yeah, and yeah, this is some the sample overview about Fabric. And just I will quickly, with the time left, I can navigate to Lakehouse and show you how we can load data into that, but not through Data Factory. Maybe through a different way. I will try to load data into Lakehouse. So we can delete this. Actually, test pipeline, because we have already a pipeline called load warehouse. This we can move into our folder. So for future reference, it would be helpful. Okay. Now getting into this, we have a lake house. and now we need to load the data into this lakehouse. Okay, and now this time we will load data through as Jupyter Notebook, not through get data option or through direct load, but through a Jupyter Notebook. We already have a notebook. I think two notebooks are there in the workspace. We can take any one of the. So we can take this. No, we can create new itself. We can go here. We can go here and create a new notebook itself. Here we have one, I think, from my experience, one drawback. When we click the notebook, and it will automatically take it as notebook 4, and it does not show any pop-up in Fabric to rename it as you need, like we do in pipeline. So we can rename it after creation, but by default it is creating as notebook 4 initially. Yeah. So that they could have changed the experience. Okay. So we have a lake house. You can see which lake house we have been tagged to here. So you have been tagged to lake house training batch 1, which we have created yesterday. And now we need to load a data from our Jupyter notebook into here. Either it is in a table format or in a file format. To to make sure we can use any of the open sources available actually from Microsoft. They have provided this famous sample data set like New York City taxi, COVID-19, and things like that. We can make use of any one of the containers they have, and we can fetch the data from there actually. So mostly we use this storage account provided by Microsoft. It's an open storage account which we can use without any SAS key. So we can use that actually and to fetch data. We have then the container name. I think it is New York City. Then so for connecting to a storage account, we would need a storage account name, container name, and we would need a SAS token. Okay. We here actually it is not needed, I think, but we can let let it keep it as blank, and every time we write the code we can mention what we are doing. And then we need to set the spark. So you don't need to worry about those technical terms. I think we can cover that down the line. So we need to set the spark to get the data from the open source. So you can imagine it is a standard procedure for now, and we are getting the data because to connect to a storage account we need this URL, and we need to define the how the container URL will look, and to which cloud resource we are going to target, whether it's Azure or AWS or Google Cloud. We need to pass those values here to get that. We need to pass the SAS token, and we need to give these standard values. Blob is the container, and the standard Windows Server, and Then in addition, we will also need to pass the values we have container. Finally, this as token. I think okay. Now we have set the Spark configs, so we need to filter them. So to filter them, we need to pass some of the filter conditions we have in that open source. When you used to this open data source, you would know what are the column names, where we can filter things like that. 16 or 17, have the 16 and 3 for now, and we the exact URL path. Storage account, then what we need to pass, okay, that's standard. And then finally, which directory we are going to select, yellow, and then we can close the path. Okay, now we have passed the complete URL to hit the Azure blob container, and we need to store them somewhere, right? So we need to store them to a data frame. Data frame, yeah, it's kind of, imagine it's um, uh, we need to store them to a data frame to have the output captured inside this data frame, or else it will be just in an open world, it will be rounding off. So we are getting that output and we are storing them in the data frame. So how we are going to store? So the spark.read, what type of file it is? It is a Pocket file, and from where it is coming? It is coming from path, and we will have the data stored in data frame, but it is huge. So, but we need to filter. If we need to filter, we can do that, or we can directly show the output. If we need a filter condition, then also we can filter. This is a simple use case where you can filter your data whenever needed. So you can use filtered df equal to which data frame we are going to filter, df dot what we are going to do, filter, and we need to pass the column names and what value it is. So if it is f, then column name equal to, we need to pass the values year which we have initialized already, then this is a column, nothing but a column name, Okay, now we have this filtered data here with the year and month past. Either we can use this filtered PDF show. Okay, we can now, it will show the output, not will store the information, it will just show you the output. I think if we are lucky, we don't get any errors. So we are not, we are just connecting to an open source which has this New York taxi. This is an open container, and we are just showing the results. Yeah.
Can we ask Copilot in case of errors in the trial? I don't see it. I see it
No.
grayed out.
Yeah. Copilot, I think it is not available in trial. Uh, I think it is only available in the F64 and plus fabric capacity.
Yeah, but in trial, some can we look at what is the compute attached to trial? I think it is F64 only.
No, it has a capacity equal to F64, but we have the exact terminology as FT1, I think. T1, FT1.
F51. Okay.
Yeah, in the workspace settings, if you see, I think we can check that. But let's check that after this result. There is some
Hmm.
terminal. Yes, as you said, the capacity spec is related to F64, but the designation or the naming convention given to us FT1. There are some functionalities missing in that trial capacity.
F51 free trial one. Okay.
Yeah,
So I see you're initializing those parameters and you're passing it into
yeah,
the filter and yeah. So is
yeah.
there a
Just
way to
filtering
use
the rest.
yeah? Is there a way to pass those initialization values into the notebook through some dynamic parameters?
Yes, you can do. You can have that in a file. You can
Okay.
refer that file here to that value. Yet, yes, it is possible.
In the same way, like how we were
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
discussing on the T sequence. Okay.
yeah. Just I'm showing you because through this way also we can fetch data. This could be because in a real-time world you would need to use different use cases, right? You need to use data factory or data flow or a Jupyter notebook to fetch data. So through this way also we can load.
Which is the best way actually? This way or the T sequence?
Uh, so
I know
uh,
Microsoft is trying to address all audience, but from your experience, what is the best way?
so if I don't want to code much, I would directly go to this data factory way. Okay, data factory way, and I will try to connect and make a dynamic activity. I don't have any limitation in the data factory now. After this dynamic, because if there is an no such way, I can go this PySpark or other way. But for data factory, I know I have found a workaround with this parameterized table, and from there I can map it and load. So I will go with the data factory. But in case of XML source, XML file source, where I need to break the source XML into different child items, for that I will go with this PySpark method, because here I can customize more compared to a data factory.
Okay, okay.
Because
I see your
data
point.
factory won't be suitable for this XML. I would say from my experience, you cannot break that parent element into child items more easily using data factory. But using this libraries in PySpark, we can do it easily.
Where can we manage our libraries in Fabric
In workspace settings, it is available.
workspace settings? Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So those related
Mhm.
libraries from pyp.org. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Why it's taking such a long time?
Does this pSQL run on Spark or does it run on a normal single instance? Because the
TC.
data will grow.
Mm, mm.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we keep using distributed computing. We keep adding more and more nodes. So from a scalability standpoint, the Spark notebooks are the sustainable way. Once we
Yeah,
learn this,
yeah,
we don't have to worry about learning anything more because we just keep adding the code.
yes.
But if we go
So
through the T-SQL route, I don't know how it works. Will it
T
stop?
SQL, yeah, the warehouse also, it does not run on the Spark one. It is running just above this Lake centric normal engine for it, not the Spark which we do for Lakehouse. So for a long running, reliable one, we can go with SpicePark, provided if you have this resource allocation expertise over there, and you can manage the capacity also there. Um, you don't want, you won't waste more resources for your Jupyter notebooks running for a long time because you are already well versed with this resource assignment. Then you can, with closing your eyes, you can go with this Spark one, Lakehouse approach. You don't want to go
You,
with the warehouse one.
you mean using those coalesce options in Spark,
Hmm.
right? Just
Correct.
adjusting the data different nodes.
Correct.
Okay, 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 got it. Not sure why it's taking long. Is the
Yeah,
data
I think
large,
the
huge?
data is not getting filtered. I believe somewhere it is taking all the data. That's why it is taking more time.
Hmm. Usually.
Okay, let's see. I'll stop this session. Maybe I have tried it yesterday and today, as just as whether it works or not. I can try opening that.
Maybe we'll reattach the compute once again. We'll see.
Just a minute. So this is the one which we have used. Okay. Okay. Maybe what they are trying to, let me recheck the code
Now it
and
says
add a
compute.
field. Yeah. Yes, we can change that according to that. This won't help. Okay, we can stop the session. We can rerun it again.
The column names are correct, right? The PU,
Yeah, yeah,
EL,
yeah,
PU.
yeah.
Okay. In the case is also it's camel case. Okay.
Mm. Okay. Else, what we can do? We can store that into a table and see. So how we can store that table? Let it run. In the meantime, so I can show you how we can uh, write
Maybe
PySpark.
we can
So
copy it from that container into our one lake house
yeah, we can correct. We can do that.
so that
So
it will
what
be
we can do
available
is,
in our.
what we can do, we can copy this filtered df dot. We can write it to where we can write what format we can write. We can write it as a delta format, and where what mode it is. So the mode could be append. Then what we can do, we can save that as a table. Where is the table? It is uh, in the lake house. The table name we can provide is taxi, taxi details.
Okay, it is in the append mode. Do we
Yeah,
have that table? Okay, we'll create the table. Or something.
it will create a
That's
table.
oh, append will create a table, is it, or overwrite will
Yeah,
create?
no, the append is if we have a, it's for safety. Even if you remove this, a new table will create and data will load. But just
Okay.
if we have already an existing table and we need to append the data, we can use that mode. So it is customizable one.
Mhm.
Again, why it's taking? Maybe I'm not sure the trial capacity, but it should take less than 1 minute. I have tried it previously before our session. It was providing the result.
Maybe do we have anything in the learn module, any standard code we can copy this and see how it works.
Uh, I
Usually they
can
provide
try.
some learn modules.
Yeah, let me check that one. But here the Spark resource has not been assigned yet. That's the problem. So the code is fine. So we have issue with the Spark job assignment itself. Let
If
me
we stop,
cancel all. Yeah, I will cancel all because there is if there is a error with the query initialization itself we will get the error. But there is nothing wrong with the query. I will stop the session. Just what's this? We refresh the page. Okay. This.
Until meantime, can we find
Yeah,
these kind of sample scripts online? I'm
yeah,
I'm new
yeah,
to this language.
yeah. We can find. So there are already PySpark library available. So you can check that how you can use the PySpark for various operations. So by default they have how to fetch data from SQL or how to parse the XML file, JSON file into table format. So every function will be available there, and what libraries you need to import and things like that. Everything will be available there.
Okay, thank you. I have to search with the PySpark,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
PySpark. So you can, if you know Python, it is more easy for you using PySpark. Or if you know Scala or Spark SQL, you can interchange between these languages.
I'm
Okay,
good with SQL,
maybe.
but not this. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, okay, okay. I think we can have this code saved, but it is the Spark assignment, job assignment is not happening. Instead, we can go the other way. We can go to the lake house and we can load the data through data factory and see. And we can use PySpark above that and do our transformations. So here we can go to the get data similarly. And here also we have upload files option. Maybe I can try this upload files.
I'm starting my notebook in Fabric here. Can I think the same code can work on any notebook, right? It's a general
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
container.
Yeah, it's a general
Yeah.
container.
Can I have the code? I'll try to run it here.
Yeah, yeah, you can run it. This is too big. Okay. So it's a file. We can load as a file. Then goes to path. Okay, we have the data loaded. So in the file section, we will have, so in the folder, we can click the folder and we can see the raw file. We can load the data into table directly through UI. New table. Table name we can give diabetes details, and it will load the data there. Here you can see, and here we can, so this triangle means that it is a delta table. So in the warehouse, if you see, there won't be this symbol. So it is just a table, but here in the lakehouse, it is a delta table because actually the data stays within the file as a file in the one lake. Just only the metadata or the delta part of that table is available here. So every time when you query, it will go to that source data and it will take you the results in the table format.
If we remove the file from here, the table will also go away.
You will get, I think, you will get the empty, the metadata will stay because how the thing will stored in the one lake is the metadata, age, sex, BMI,
Okay,
BP, everything will be stored in one format and the data will be in the other file. So if you delete the file, you will get only the metadata and the empty columns here, null values.
got it. Okay.
And deletion also we have three, I think two types. Delete, truncate is not available. Another one is drop, I think. So I think there is a difference between them. Drop completely means it will completely drop both the metadata and the files, and delete means it will have the metadata.
Okay.
Is the code working for you or still?
Yeah, I just need the code on the chat. I'll just copy paste it.
Oh, okay, okay. I can.
One question. This PySpark transformations, are these standard set of like transformations are also include complex logics here?
Uh, so you can have, it depends upon the project requirements actually. You can have a complex transformation like I have mentioned, right? XML. So in the XML, you need to parse that XML with a complex transformation. So you need to mention and define things like that in a complex way. There are also simple things which you can do direct load from one target to source to target. Those things you can do without any complex transformations.
Okay, so we have to learn this language then,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
That's what you.
yeah. You can actually, it is not that big deal. So you, when you have a use case, uh, you know, you what are the source, you need to mention server name or DB name, you need to initialize them, and you need that library to establish the connection, and you need to know basic transformation what you need to do and how you are going to store that information. Like that, now if I want to write that into a file, I need to know data factory dot write,
Mm.
sorry, data frame dot write should be used there.
Right.
Those basic functionalities will, yeah, initially that
Okay.
would be fine to get started.
Akhil, is
Sure.
it there in the data wrangler by any chance?
Uh,
The writing and the saving part. Now we
no,
cannot see because it's not yet
yeah,
loaded
yeah,
in the data.
yeah.
We are just
But once
waiting
it
for
is
it.
getting loaded, you can see the distribution. Yeah, you can see.
I mean, all those standard transformations
Yeah,
provided by Microsoft.
yeah,
Okay. But I think if we go to Spark dot, I think PySpark dot Apache dot org, I think we can see all the skeleton template code available. I guess.
yeah, yeah, correct.
Okay, I'm running the code. Still, it's running. 1 minute
Yeah,
53 seconds.
okay. I think we can check this code by tomorrow. In the meantime, you can also try this code. It should be providing results within short time, but it is taking than expected because of some resource assignment from the trial capacity side, I believe. But today, as per our sessions, like we have learned basics of warehouse and lakehouse, and how we can upload data into them, and how we can save them as a query, and what are the other UI functionalities available in warehouse and lakehouse. Maybe tomorrow I will touch base on data factory, and day after tomorrow we will do an end-to-end project with data factory and lakehouse. A complex project will have a complex code, PySpark code, and will cover each scenario. Yeah, in the next class. So I need to cover the data factory before I go to the project, because these are the basic concepts: data factory and warehouse. How in data factory we can technically bypass the limitation provided by Fabric. That I will explain you in the next session.